Alrighty, welcome. You will need one blanket for class today or a pillow. Either or, it'll be folded up, kind of like a pillow. And just take a moment to stand up and just stretch. Reach your arms upward. Allow your big toes to really squeeze the floor as you lift your arms up so much your shoulders come up by your ears. Reach all the way out through the fingertips. Invite a subtle engagement of your core muscles on board. Activate the core muscles as you lift your shoulders and your arms up so that the spine is long and supported. And then just breathe for a few moments here, noticing what it feels like to have the arms just reaching upward. Get a little bit of engagement from the core so we're not back bending the spine. And as you breathe, allow everything to expand outwards, all the way out beyond the very edges of your skin. And then bring both hands all the way down to your hips. And take one more full breath here. And exhale all the way out, sending that down through the legs, out through the feet, and into the floor. Engage your core muscles, open your eyes, and look toward the floor to find one thing to focus on, one little bit of stability here. Breathe in, reach both of your arms up. And then as you exhale, very slowly, just step the right foot back and bring both hands down to frame either side of your front foot. And shift a little bit forward and back. You can tilt the pelvis side to side for a moment just to help loosen things up and warm things up. And then step your back foot in a little bit. And it's like your feet are in two different lanes of traffic, not one right in front of the other. Walk your hands up to your shin. Don't lock out the knee if you're someone with slightly hypermobile knees. Squeeze the floor with your big toe. And it's like your left knee is trying to dial outward to the left. Think of it, left knee curving around to the left as your big toe squeezes the floor. And then just breathe here. Shoulders draw away from the ground. Notice the space around the back of your neck. If it's shortened, can you create a little more length there and breathe into that space that is so often shortened all day long? And then really engage the abdominal muscles. So squeeze your core muscles in toward the spine. And then lift your hands back behind you. And rotate them outward so that your palms are facing outward or slightly upward. Shoulders are open. Re-engage the core. Breathe in. And then bend your left knee, sweep your hands forward, then all the way up, warrior one. And here, it doesn't have to be the world's biggest stance, but really engage the core so that the tailbone softens downward a little bit and we can find a bit of a stretch around the front of the right hip. Invite your shoulders up by your ears. Breathe in all the way up to the fingertips. And breathe out. With your next exhale, both hands come right back down to your shin. And the left knee is trying to dial out, which will draw the left hip back in space, yet squeeze the floor with your big toe. And you can keep hands to shin, or this time you can fold all the way over that left leg. Full inhale. And full exhale. And then bend your front knee. Walk your hands a little bit further forward. Continue to squeeze the floor with that left big toe and slowly just float your right foot up off the ground. Back of the neck nice and long. Breathe in here. And breathe out. Step your right foot up to meet the left. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, soft knees, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Lift your arms up. And then left knee rises. Squeeze the core muscles. Notice if your foot on the floor is flat or if that big arch is lifted up. You can again squeeze the floor with your big toe for a little more support there. And then breathe in, lift your arms, lift your shoulders. Squeeze the core. Exhale, slowly step your left foot back and bring your hands to frame that front foot. And here I just invite a little bit of movement. You can shift forward and back, side to side. Just noticing how hip mobility feels this morning, or if there's muscles tight around your legs or your pelvis. And just notice if you do find a spot, what does that tightness or stretching feel like, and how far out do you feel it from the main spot? And then step your back foot in a little bit, feet on two different lanes of traffic. Walk your hands up to your shin. Squeeze your core. Grip the floor with your big toes. Back of the neck gets really long by drawing your chin in a little bit toward the throat. And breathe here. Core muscles really active. Right knee tries to dial outward, out to the right, in opposition of the big toe squeezing the floor. Help gets the whole line of muscles from your feet all the way up to your glutes to support you. Option to keep both hands here or lift them both up and back behind you. Don't lose that engagement of the core. That's what's supporting the lower back here. And then rotate your palms outward. Breathe in. And then exhale, bend your right knee. Sweep both arms all the way up. And if your core is relaxed, you'll create this lovely looking C shape with the spine. We really want to squeeze the core in so the tailbone softens down and there's a stretch that can happen in the front of the left hip. So core is active. Hands, shoulders lift up. You can even kind of reach up through one arm and then the other. Whenever I reach up through the right arm here, yet still keep the core engaged, I get a little bit more of a stretch down the left hip. You might find something similar or different for your own body. Breathe in. And then as you exhale, straighten the front leg, fold all the way forward over that front leg. Hands can come to the shin or to the ground. Right hip draws back in space. And you can get that action to happen by gripping the floor with the big toe. Right knee dials out. And then allow your head, shoulders, everything to just soften here for a moment. That right leg doesn't have to be perfectly straight to get the stretch we're going for either. So explore that as needed. And then bring your hands down to the ground. Bend that front knee. Lift up onto the tiptoes of your left foot. And then just slowly press your heel back down. Make the movement slow. Lift up onto your tiptoes. And then all the way to the very point of that big toe. And then lift the left foot up. Squeeze the floor with your right big toe. Long back of the neck. Breathe in. And breathe out. And step your left foot all the way up to meet the right foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Breathe in, rise all the way up. Lift up your arms. And exhale, hands right to your heart. One more full breath here. Noticing just the strength that comes from this shape, mountain pose. The way we can stand with activity instead of just slouching or letting the hip pop off to the side, but what it really feels like to fully support yourself in a standing shape, and the patience to just be there instead of moving forward. I invite you to notice or explore noticing a felt sense of the space behind you. Soften your jaw and just notice that space behind your neck, your shoulders, your mid and lower back. And then bring both your hands right to your lower back. All 10 toes are welcome to just lift here to help keep the legs active. Core gently engages, glutes are fired. And then as you breathe, really full breath in, breathe all the way into your hands, as much air as you can. And then exhale all the way out. And each time you breathe in, just notice the movement around your lower back, however subtle it may be. Maybe it doesn't feel like hardly anything at all, and if that's the case, notice that too. And then relax your hands. And then as you breathe in, reach them all the way up. Turn and take a big step sideways on your mat so your feet are out nice and wide. Hands come to your lower back for a moment. Really, really squeeze the core so it presses your hips forward a teeny bit. Maybe have your toes pointed out a little more or forward. It's up to your hips and your knees. And then lift your heart up, yet really, really engage the core again. Outer hip squeeze. And then as you exhale, keep the core super supportive as you fold all the way forward and allow the hips to shift back. Hands come down to the ground as you get there. And then breathe in here. Lift up high onto your fingertips. Make the back of the neck nice and long. Soft knees if you tend to lock them out. And then crawl your hands a little bit further forward. And allow your head and your neck to relax down here. Full inhale. And full exhale. Notice the sides of your body as you breathe, from the hip all the way up to the shoulder on each side. When you're in this shape, can you invite your abdomen to totally relax as you breathe in, allowing the pelvic floor to move in unison with the diaphragm? Inviting that full range of motion from those two muscles that often only get a shorter range. And healthy mobility, which is strength and flexibility, comes from full range of motion movements. And then walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Left hand sets down on the ground and it feels like the ground is really far away from you. You can always put your hand on a chair and be up a little bit higher. You want your spine to feel comfy in this, your legs to not feel like they're getting pushed too far. If your hammies are tight, you can bend your knees. And then you'll bring your right hand to your lower back. And just notice the pelvis. Bring it to a stable, flat. Instead of the hips sticking off to one side, we want them to be even. And then really engage your core muscles and draw your right shoulder back without tilting the pelvis with you. So it's using all the strength from your core to help you rotate that right shoulder back without bringing the pelvis along. Helps us find more of a twist for the upper back. Helps increase mobility in an area, the upper back, where there's usually a lot of tightness for the majority of people. Breathe in and breathe out. Right hand slowly switches spots with the left. Take your sweet time. Left hand to the lower back when you're ready, or to the pelvis rather. Find a nice even pelvis. Squeeze your core. And then just that left shoulder lifts up and rotates back, not the pelvis. It'll want to come with you because it's where a lot of rotation comes from, that we think is happening in the spine, but it's usually going on from the pelvis. So draw the left shoulder back. Option to keep hand on your pelvis, or if you know it's level and it's staying there, you're welcome to reach the left arm up. Breathe in. Don't lock out your knees. Breathe out. Left hand comes back down to the ground. Heel toe your feet in until you can bend your knees, frog pose style or Bakasana, and lift the hips a little bit on purpose, like 2 inches or so. Be up on your tiptoes for this as well. And then as you breathe in, reach your arms all the way out wide. Lift your hips a teeny bit higher. And then exhale, reach them forward and up. Breathe here. Full inhale. And then exhale. Lower your heels if they can. Sometimes backs of the legs are really tight. Bring both hands to the ground. And then you're just going to tilt the right knee till it comes all the way down to the ground. A little bit of hip mobility here. Left arm lifts all the way up. Shoulder draws back. And then just slowly switch to the other side. It might feel like a slightly jerky motion the first couple times you do it. Just explore the slowness of it. Notice how your body feels. Switch sides. And once more on each side. Just feeling the flow, knee down, arm lifts. Notice as you switch sides for the last time how your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist all work to reach your fingers all the way up. And then come back through the middle. Stand all the way back up. Lift your arms. Breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees. Sit your hips back, knees forward, chair pose. Utkatasana. Squeeze the core. Full inhale. And exhale, fold over your legs. Right foot steps back. Squeeze the floor with your big toes. Bend your left knee. Breathe in, slowly rise all the way up. Notice everything moving together and draw a little extra attention to the core. Your left knee's caving in, dial it out. And then exhale, both hands to your hips. Shift your hips back as you straighten or move your front leg a little bit more towards straight. Back of the neck long. Breathe in. Exhale, both hands down to the ground. Come up onto the tiptoes of your back foot. Press the heel back down. Maybe really press it back down. Stretch the back of the calf for a moment. And then slowly lift all the way up onto the very tiptoe of that big toe. And lift your right foot up. Breathe in. And exhale. Step your right foot up to meet the left foot. Breathe in, halfway lift. And then bend your knees, hips sit back, knees go forward. Breathe in, arms sweep up. Kitty cat is in fine form today. Stand all the way up, inhale. And exhale, soft knees, forward fold. Left foot takes a step back. And not the world's biggest step. We're going for warrior one here. Bend your right knee, breathe, and rise all the way up. I hope you saw that. Squeeze the floor with your big toe. Abdomen draws and full breath in. And then exhale. Hands to your hips. Straighten into that right leg. Squeeze the floor with your big toe. Right knee dials out. Back of the neck long. Full inhale. And then exhale. Hands down to the ground. Knee bends. Roll up onto the very tiptoes of that left foot. Press your heel back down. And again, tiptoes. And then float that left foot up off the ground. Back of the neck long. And then with your next exhale, bring that left foot in underneath you. Breathe in, halfway lift. Exhale. Hands down to the ground. Knees move down to the ground. Tabletop position. Walk your hands forward. Bring your forehead down to the ground or onto the blanket if the ground feels really far away. And crawl your fingers as far forward as you can so your shoulders hug your ears. And it's like you're trying to squeeze your fingers and your thumbs in towards one another. And press the tops of your feet gently down into the mat. Shoulders lift up by the ears. Squeeze the core and explore breathing into the space behind your heart, so the upper back area. And then lift back up. Breathe in, cow pose. And exhale, cat pose. Round your spine, tuck your chin in toward your chest. And then just stay in cat pose shape, but just shift side to side. And then once more, breathe in, cow pose. And exhale, cat pose. And then from here, we'll make your way all the way onto your back. Both knees hug into your chest. And then right ankle crosses over the left thigh. And if this already feels like a lovely big stretch for your right hip, you're welcome to just stay right here. If you'd like a little more, you can draw your legs in closer and press the right ankle into the left knee and the left knee into your right ankle. So your legs are creating a more active stretch for you here. Arms can go wherever feels most supportive to you. And then if it feels good, you can go one step further here. You grab onto your right leg with both your hands. And you keep it in this shape that it's in. And slowly extend the left leg all the way out. I enjoy exploring a little bit more activity and strength within stretches. So you can explore, if you'd like that, you can explore pressing your right foot into your left hand and using your left hand to create a little resistance here. Building strength within the stretches. Breathe in and breathe out. And if you're being a little more active, you're welcome to just relax. Release that right leg all the way up to the sky and press out through the right heel. We'll inhale. And then as you exhale, bend your right knee, cross it over to the left side of the body for a little twist. Right arm can open back behind you. You can land your knee on the blanket too so that you don't have to bring it all the way to the floor. I tucked my hand underneath my knee. And the knee comes back to your chest. Set your foot down to the floor and do the opposite side. So left ankle crosses over the right thigh. And both sides of the body are very different, and that's usually pretty felt in this shape. So do what this side needs. They don't both need to do the same thing. You want to be more active? You can lift your right foot up off the floor and press your knee into your ankle and your ankle into your knee. Your hands can create a little pillow for your head. A little bit of core support if you're doing the more active stretch. So we're not back bending, but the lower back is rooted into the yoga mat. And then if you'd like to go a step further, it's a little harder for me on this side personally. You're welcome to hold on to that left leg and straighten the right leg all the way out. And for more activity, you can press your foot into your hands. Kind of do that through the area of the heel, not the toes. And then relax into the stretch for a moment. Notice how that outer left hip feels. And then reach your left leg all the way up, press out through the left heel. And left knee bends, cross it over to the right side of the body. You're welcome to reach the left arm out behind you. That feels supportive today. And then bring your knee back to the middle. And set both feet down to the ground. And grab your yoga blanket. And this will just get laid down across your yoga mat so that your upper back can lay on it. Not the arms, just barely below the arms. So kind of right around the armpit area is where you'll feel the line of that blanket. And then once you've gotten comfortable, you can have your knees bent or your legs straight, or if you'd like to stretch the hips a little bit more, you can crisscross applesauce, but make sure that's a stretch that feels like you can relax into and not like it's making you hold your breath in Shavasana. And then soften your jaw, your shoulders. As you breathe, make space for that upper back to really just open up. Notice the support from the floor beneath you. And as you rest, maybe notice the felt sense of the space in front of you. In front of your face, your forehead, above or in front of the heart, your rib cage, your abdomen, pelvis, legs. Maybe even notice with the eyes closed the felt sense of the distance between your body and the ceiling above you. The felt sense of your space. And then take one more full breath in, as much air as you can. And let it go all the way out. Noisy exhale. And then work your way toward a stretch, toes to fingertips. Big breath in. And as you feel ready, roll off to one side to make your way back up to seated. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming today.